Number one pick. It's going to be, we're going to go 1995 off of the Pharcyde's second album, Lab Cabin, California. I'm going to go with the song Drop. Now, you might say, how can a song that was a single that has a legendary, iconic music video directed by Spike Jonze, an incredible backwards motif, probably one of my favorite music videos of all time. You might be saying, how could this be underrated? And here's the thing. When people think about the Pharcyde, when they think about Dilla, I think there is a tendency to sing the praises of the song Running, which was also one of the other singles off of Lab Cabin, California. And to say that, it's one for the books. It's a classic song. It is. I'll say this. I think that Running is a better song than Drop is. But in terms of the actual production and the ingenuity of the techniques used to make the beat, Drop is kind of insane. And, Dan Charnas, who I mentioned a moment ago, author of the book Dilla Time, he spoke about in Dilla Time how the beat for Drop was an older beat. This was not something that was necessarily made with the Pharcyde in mind, but this was back from like a lot of the beat battle days that that JD at the time was involved in. And apparently JD and Proof from D12 and a Detroit ambassador of hip hop, they had sort of co-produced the song, or Proof had been around during the making of this song. But the chop, and here's what I love most about J Dilla. There are so many different techniques that a producer can use when making a beat. And a lot of times, producers and artists and musicians will sort of lean on one specific trick or one specific technique. If you pay attention to production, you know that there are like calling cards that certain producers have. But in examining the catalog of JD's production, he never really leaned too exclusively on one thing. He really had a very evenly distributed, textured, nuanced approach to making beats. And with Drop, Drop has a lot of those. It has the swing of the drums, which I guess you could say was most frequently a calling card for Dilla's production. But the way that the sample is used here, and the fact that it's like a reversed sample. Reversing samples, by the way, is such a crazy cheat code, and it can be so easily done. You just take something and you reverse it. Shout out to Missy Elliott. But just because something is played backwards does not mean that it's going to be dope. And so the way that not only was the sample chopped, and by the way, I'm not talking about actual sample sources in this episode. I'm going to, take a break from what we sometimes do in the questions digging in the crates round. And I'm not going to, what they, call sample snitch in this episode. All the information that you'd want to know is, for the most part, pretty much out there at this point. So you can find it if you need to. But the way that this sample was chopped and then kind of used in reverse creates such a sort of surreal, slanted, off-kilter vibe that was perfect for the Pharcyde, and it was perfect for this album. Again, I'll say I understand why Runnin' will get more accolades in the greater public forum, because again, I do think that Runnin' is technically, it's a better song. And by that, I mean, it has a chorus, Drop kind of has a chorus, but Runnin' really has a chorus that you could sing along to. It has more of, like some of the calling cards of traditional songwriting, the way that the verses are all just pretty much that guitar sample in Runnin', and then that bass comes in the hook and it has like a chorus. It's yes, Runnin' is a better song, but in terms of just like style and sort of demonstrating the personality and the rhyming ability of the members of the Pharcyde, Drop is super dope. And again, as a producer, you live for these moments where you hear something and you're like, how the fuck did this person do this? How was this made? How was this pieced together? I don't understand. Like, I know I like what I'm hearing, but I don't understand what I'm hearing. how did he do this? J Dilla is the king of the how did he do this moment in listening to hip hop beats. And Drop, hands down, is one of those moments where there's just not a lot of beats that sound like it. And that gets points for me as well. So beat number one, song number one, production number one is the Pharcyde's Drop.